talk corruption in the midst of all of this, the indices don't look good. In terms of the perception of corruption, in terms of the actuality based on work from the Ghana Statistical Service in collaboration with UN agencies.
Well,
what do you make of it?
You feel the corruption every day.
You feel it?
You feel it every day.
Is that palpable?
You see, I'm coming. And then when you feel it, you question the feeling. Because feeling is not something you can use in a court of law. But then you see all these people who have only just gotten into positions of authority recently. One young man was talking to me whilst traveling with me to Suhum the other day. He says, boss, I thank you for speaking. And when I got to a funeral, these musicians who were supposed to be playing for the chiefs all just came out and surrounded me and were drumming and singing praises. And I said, well, there's no praise for me. It's just praise for speaking the truth. And this young man was saying, look, I look at some of my friends who are not even brilliant in school, who have just gotten a few political appointments recently, and I look at what they have been able to do. And if I say it, people might say I'm jealous. I said, no, nobody's going to say you're jealous. You're just telling the truth. You live well. You know, you have a home in England, you have a home here, you live well. So you're not jealous of them. Just speak the truth. And if everybody would speak the truth about everyone in the community, we would see that the corruption is real. Like I said, many are mad, but few are roaming. Many are stealing, robbing this nation blind, but few are complaining.
And that is why we need all these voices to just sort of straighten all of us and get us thinking. Sometimes you read some of the comments we're getting, some very positive, others also suggesting that maybe there may be an agenda. No, the agenda, in fact, there is an agenda. The agenda is Ghana, and to put Ghana on the map and make it that land flowing with milk and honey. We already have the resources. Have you stopped to ask yourself why we're still wallowing in poverty and going back to the IMF? Questions we all should answer. It also reminds me, on this very trajectory, Kwame Pianim, again, saying we are being recolonized all over again.
But, you know,
just to re-echo what you said.
Anybody who cannot see that has a problem. You see, Ghana.
And thanks to
Samson
Ladi and my senior colleague for reminding me of some of these developments. But
Samson Cry, I have a conversation with you. You have a casa later.
That conversation will happen at some point. But to wrap off the conversation, before we take your final words, Galamsey has become such a menace. I don't know whether you followed recently.
Cyanide. I mentioned the cyanide. Now we are killing people to get gold.
Cyanide, mercury, all of that. There's also the gold catch-up program, to be fair to government. They're trying to use that to take out the cyanide bit. But how many are there? How many of these are available to the miners? But the point to be made is it is becoming so destructive that the Ghana National Fire Service has said that even water, it's got to the point where it's so murky in some places that the Ghana National Fire Service is struggling to get water to douse fires.
And Ghana,
it's got to the point where a professor at the KNUST is saying, look, a medical, is saying, we are having children with deformities. So many things are happening, and they are more exposed, about 50% plus exposed.
In addition to that, Ghana Water is saying the water is getting so bad, it's getting too expensive to treat it to make it potable. So very soon, water will be too expensive to drink. The people going to the Galamsey sites are buying their bottled water to take there. What about the children and the boys and girls who are being used as though they were slaves in their own countries to do the washing? What water are they drinking? So if I talk of this selfishness and greed and total irresponsibility in positions of authority, Ghanaians must wake up and understand that when we elect people, we choose them as our brothers, as our kinsmen, who have some knowledge, but who also have goodwill and compassion to come and serve. If they don't have knowledge, we shouldn't choose them at all. But if they have knowledge, but they have no compassion, if they have knowledge, but they have no wisdom, and if they have knowledge, but they are not truthful, and if they have knowledge, but all they are worrying about is the wealth and the avarice and greed, so that they can fly in an aeroplane that they cannot afford. And within 3 months of flying in that expensive aeroplane, all of a sudden we realize we have no money. And we are all sitting there like, you can't be angry. My mother constantly reminds me, Chrissy, this world is not our own. We are all just passing through. I said it the other day. Jim Reeves, it's one of my father and my mother's favorite songs. She reminds me of all that. And then my father reminds me,
this world is not our home.
I'm just passing through. You know, and then my father reminds me. He says, but once in a while you must raise your voice against injustice. You must raise your voice against greed. Because if you do not speak against greed, the few greedy will prosper and the many needy will suffer.
These very points you make, knowledge, wisdom, compassion, and others, President Akufo-Addo rode on these very bits to come to power. Competence, compassion, listening to the people. What do you see in him now?
Emptiness. I see
Emptiness?
Yeah, emptiness.
What sort of emptiness?
Just emptiness. Because it's all talk, no walk. All talk, no walk. Look, even in your own small home, if every time your children have to go to school, you have to borrow, to the point where now you can look away for your wife to go to the bed of another man because you need that money before you pay your fees. You may not have shackles on your hands and manacles on your ankles, but there is no doubt you're a slave. And if you live in a nation that has all this abundant greenery in every scenery, and you have all this plentiful water that you can use to grow food to feed yourself, but you import most of your food, and also even in the abundance of that water, your people are thirsty, it is not amiss for people to call you fools.
I have a friend who's watching from the US, the United States, Paula, and she says she likes what you're saying this morning. She's not Ghanaian, by the way.
Oh, I guess maybe. I think when people say that, it's because you're speaking their mind. Let's be fair. It is not everybody who is courageous enough or confident enough to speak publicly. Confidence does not just come out of a vacuum. Confidence is born of competence. So if you have some competence in some specific field of endeavor, you can parlay that into your confidence. And there are so many people too who are eating a little from the corruption that is going on, who are messengers of people in fleeting possession of power and some money, so they will never speak their mind. Those people, however, when they see you privately, they come and congratulate you. As I get wherever I go, chiefs and elders coming to congratulate me and say, we are Bema, we are Bema, we are Bema. They beat me a Ghana ba.
Maybe we need more men.
Momianka. Enyansua momianka.
That is the way to go.
Mamwe ankoye. A sha siano. Sabi dum sonti. And ankromfo tutia ni ano teswo. And so ni ano teswo no. Emfidie na ne yade beye dum so ye ni nyina no. Ono an ekope bai. Enyo obi foforo na ekope bai. Nanso ono nso e bi oye ne boni bi. Enti na nkromfo anto ama no. Na boni kro oye enti ankromfo anto ama nene ye hwa a ye hu se boy satetefo no no mo ye pickpocketer endefo no de wo mo ye armed robber.
We'll leave it here. We'll hang the conversation here. KKD.
Yabregu.
Yabregu.
A nation where the elders are not planting trees for children to come and sit in the shade. They are cutting down the trees, but first and foremost, they are plucking all the fruits and storing them only for their family and children.
That analogy of the monkeys, though, it's a lot of food for thought. I'm going to share that on my social media today. There's a bit of a quote to it, and I'll be sharing that. But this has been our conversation with Kwesi Che Dakwa, the king, Nana KKD, who took the time to join us this morning on the AM show. We've been talking everything Ghana. And that last statement, though, about the president and what he sees, emptiness. You've left me with a lot to think about. But this is where we cap off this conversation at this point.